All right, here we go. It's time to talk about your life, your retirement, your future, and how that's going to play out. I'm joined right now with Dolph Janis from GuardYourSavings.com. Again, GuardYourSavings.com. That's the website to go and get more information about everything you hear in the Guard Your Savings podcast. We appreciate you listening. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and all the good stuff so you can get more of this content coming your way. And Dolph, let's talk going to restaurants. Now, this may not sound like we're talking about retirement at first, but it does relate when it comes to red flags. You know, you'll walk into a restaurant sometimes and you're like, okay, something just doesn't feel right.
There's no employees here.
Yeah, that's a huge problem, right? Or it could be something as simple as when you drive up and it's supposed to be a busy time of the day and there's 3 cars in the parking lot. I think a lot of people would see that as a red flag, so to speak. Okay, is this place that good if there's only 3 cars here right now? And do people really come here? It could be the odor of the restaurant when you walk in. It could be all sorts of different things when you you worked in the restaurant business before, so you know a lot of this parts.
16 plus years I worked in the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, and 100% agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of red flags. I mean, right now, just getting employees to work in these places is hard enough as it is. So that's that red flag you can take away. But look how those places that are closing. It's astronomical how many of these restaurants are shutting down and stuff.
Hooters is shutting down a bunch of their locations.
150 of them.
Yeah.
From what I heard. TGI Fridays and those, they're shutting them down. And
Red Lobster.
Because the expenses are tough. But getting back to the red flags of the restaurant is places like you go to like those, like you know what you're going to get when you walk in.
Yeah.
But when you walk in and there's trash sitting everywhere, all the tables are dirty. Is this somewhere you want to eat? You feel sanitary? Or you walk in there and there's that there's a Seinfeld over. It's all out there. It's the BO. You can't get rid of it. I mean, you're like, okay, do you feel comfortable eating there? Or you look at the back and you have a guy in the kitchen smoking. Or, just there's so many different things of your life is more important than having some food or problems going in there. And with the restaurant industry today, with all these places closing, I don't think Hooters and TGI Fridays and all them are closing because of having issues at them. Because I don't think I've ever been to those restaurants, ever had an issue.
Sure.
I think it's getting good help is the number one thing. Because if you don't have good help, then you don't have employees that care. The restaurant's not going to be good anyway because they're going to give you subpar service, subpar food and stuff. Then you have to take into play the cost of, inflation, if you haven't noticed lately, has gone up a little bit. A price of bottled water went from 30 cents to almost $3 for anything. It's like airport prices everywhere. So,
yeah.
And then real estate's gone up so renting these buildings are more expensive. It's intangibles. And a lot of people like to do that famous thing in life. Jeff, I don't know if you ever heard of that word, cut corners.
I was about to say the cut back and the cut corners is kind of the way a lot of people adjust for things like inflation.
A lot of people have had to make changes in life. More of them lately. It's been sad hearing people having to take away things in life because they haven't been able to do it because of the cutting the corners and stuff. But if you're looking at retirement, and that's what we specialize. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and it was like in the 16 years of the restaurant industry. Just when you thought you couldn't hear anything more, you saw something new. Every day it's like, wow, you hear a different story of someone they were 3 days away from full retirement and their pension and stuff, and the job let them go, and they lost all that defined pension money that they should have took when they were 59 and a half. But you have to look at some things like objectives. Do you have clear objectives? Do you have goals going into retirement? That's the first thing, is devising a plan like when you go on vacation or you're in the final round of a match and you and I are playing, we have 18 holes to go and we're tied. What is my game plan? How am I going to approach these next 4 hours of golf to come out succeeding by winning? Winning is not always everything.
Right.
But losing is no fun. But if you create these objectives, like, okay, you're not just going to call the airline and say, I'm flying to Florida tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Where am I going to sit? Well, guess what? The price might be too expensive, or they might not have any seats for you.
Yeah, you didn't plan ahead enough.
But you have the objective, and everybody plans for vacation, but it shocks me. We talk about this all the time. They don't plan for their financial future. They don't plan for the simple things in life. It's like time management is something I was brought up with my family. It's so important, trying to time out how everything works. It's like, okay, it's going to take me 15 minutes to get to church. I'm going to leave 25 minutes or give an extra 10 minutes for leeway to make sure that I'm on time. I was in church last weekend, and I couldn't believe the mass started at 9 o'clock, and there's people walking in at 9:25, 9:30, almost half overway through. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you're here, but why couldn't you be here on time? And like appointments scheduled at 1:00 and they show up at 1:30 and just say, oh, I got stuck in traffic, or like, it's no big deal. There's one thing in life, or there's a lot of things in life, but you can never get back. And one of them's time. And time, I mean, we all make mistakes. I've stumbled, I've done mistakes, more mistakes than certain individuals had liver pills. And trying to be politically correct, I'm not saying the individual's name, but everybody knows the joke. But if you don't have a realistic view of your retirement expenses, then having an objective doesn't mean anything either. These all tie together. So if you don't know what your expenses are, your objectives could be, hey, I'm going to have $5,000 a month in retirement. But if your expenses are $6,000, guess what? You can do the math. $5,000 is not going to pay for $6,000. Eventually, you're going to have a shortfall. The number red is only good in golf.
Right.
I mean,
it's the only thing I've ever known where having a lower number is a better thing.
I thought about that. I asked a question to somebody the other day, my dad. I was like, what else is, besides golf, is having a lower number better? And he goes, I can't think of it. He goes, someday I'll think about it. But then you take your risk factor inside of that. So now we're starting to build something here. When I'm talking to clients, you got to start somewhere. I mean, the walls of Egypt, or what are those things called in Egypt? Those pyramids?
Yeah.
Do they think they started at the top? Hell no. It's even more amazing they even made those things back then, knowing what we know now.
Sure.
With no machinery or anything, but you have to start somewhere. And whether it's putting $1 a day away. I did a video a couple days ago on my other channel of how to turn $25,000 into $100,000 in 10 years. Yeah. And it was very simple. You put $25 a day away in a 5% savings certificate, or like we have a 10-year annuity paying 5%. That allows you to add every single day to it. You put $25 into there for 10 years, you got $104,000 in 10 years, just by sacrificing $25 a day.
And, it's interesting because I actually saw that video on Facebook. And the interesting part about that is I do think, and, as we talk about the red flags that you may see in a restaurant, it could be a red flag if you are spending that $25 a day on things that are going to get you nowhere, that the return on what that is, the satisfaction that you're getting from whatever it is you're spending. Maybe it's the coffee in the morning and you're spending, another $12 to $15 at lunch. And then by the time you've added all that up, you've spent the $25 in that day. And yet you're not getting enough satisfaction out of that to justify you're not using it for down the road.
That's what I love about you, Jeff. You're like looking at my forehead and you're reading exactly where I was going next with it. There's restaurants out there that are really good. I'm not going to say the names of them, but they're high-end steakhouses and stuff like that. But you're spending $65 to $80 for a steak. No, you're not. You're spending $65 to $80 for the experience of being in that restaurant. Where you could go to a grocery store and buy that same exact steak for a third or more or less of the price, enjoy it at home with your family and friends, boom. Every once in a while, I'm not saying every once in a while not go out to those restaurants. But if you look at yourself, if you're working and you bring lunch into work every day, and it's amazing what $100 at the grocery store will buy versus $100 at a restaurant. And $25 a day is not a lot of, when people say, well, that's a lot of money today is saving for someone on a fixed income. I said, do a budget of what you're spending all your money on every day and see where that's going. I mean, you go out and have a chocolate martini at the club or whatever like that. Yeah. You're spending $18 just on that one drink. Well, I really need that drink. Well, you can make that same chocolate martini at home for about $2 if you wanted to.
Right.
And you hit it right on the nose head. It's like, if you make the sacrifice at a few different things, go out to lunch once a week or twice a week versus 7 days a week, you can save that $150 a week or $175 a week. It's not that difficult. I mean, and you look at $700 a month, you can save that $700 a month by just cutting back and making a few sacrifices in your lifestyle every day, and probably making your health even better at the same time.
It's interesting when you talk about making those sacrifices, because I truly believe that if you make the decision, let's say you don't even invest that $25 a day right up front, that you just spend 2 weeks where you don't spend that $25, you'll start to realize how much you don't really miss the things you were spending $25 a day on. And then when you put that in the other side, and you know that you're putting it into something that is going to benefit you down the road, then all of a sudden, I think the priorities, not just on that one specific thing, but your priorities in life start to change for the better.
Again, with my forehead like bleeding or something like that, it's like you're hitting all this, you're knocking out, you're hitting hole in ones right now.
I love it.
But it's so true. It's like you don't know you're going to miss it until you just try to miss it.
Yeah.
It's like dry January. No drinks in January, just to start your health off right. You're going to the YMCA every single day, or your gym or Lifetime, whatever it is. And then February comes around and you start going 4 days a week, and then you're down to 3. And then by April in the summertime, I'm done working out. It happens all the time, every year.
Yep.
But taking a few things out of your life, and it's amazing if you have, like, designate yourself, I challenge you this one year, take yourself a credit card and just use it on incidentals for 1 month. And live your life the way you're living it right now. See what the balance of that credit card is at the end of the month. Just on incidentals, and incidentals, I'm talking about coffee, soda, bagels, lunch, dinners, anything that's not necessities for life, drinks and stuff. And it's amazing if you do that. My friend did this, and he's like, I'm going to spend about, he goes, maybe $750. His thing was almost $3,000. His, you know what, fell down. He's like, and then he did a breakdown of where all the money went. And he's like, now, did that really help you in life? Did that help you in life? Did you really need to spend that? Did you really need to have 4 beers for dinner when you're going home right after that, going to bed? I mean, and then the next month he did it. He was down to $2,800 or $2,000. Now he's down. He's been doing this now for 3-4 months. Now he's down to about $1,100 a month. And he says, I can live with that. And I said, yeah, just saved yourself $2,000 a month.
Saved himself $2,000 a month, and originally he thought he was at $800 a month.
Yeah, and he's now down to almost where he thought he was, and he's enjoying life more. And now he's saving. He's like, look, now I can save $25,000 a year, and I'm going to have $250,000 in 10 years from this month just by making a few small changes.
Isn't that crazy how simple that it can be? And it literally goes back to, I would say discipline is part of it, right? You've got to have some self-discipline when it comes to things like this, which could be one of, like for a lot of people, that's your biggest red flag is self-discipline. But once you actually make that decision, you do start to realize, I used to be like someone who loved to have a faster car, whatever it may be. And one of the greatest things I could have ever done was the last time I got rid of a fast car that I had 10 years ago was I noticed that I didn't miss it. What you miss is actually the idea of it, or the feeling of when you first got it, or when you first were going through the process of seeing it for the first time. But here's the thing. I drive to work the same way every day. It's not a different drive just because the car goes a lot faster, because there's, speed limits and everything else. That just that one thing alone saves so much more money on insurance and everything else. You start to realize there's such a reciprocal effect that kind of goes across the board, and it starts to extend in other parts of your life.
Oh yeah, I mean, but a lot of things, Jeff, with that fast car, are you doing it for yourself and adrenaline, or you're doing it for an image of what other people think about you?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's so many people that do it for the latter. They want to drive the nice car, wear the nice watches and clothes, for everybody thinks that they're well off and they're doing great. And these are the people at home are depressed, like trying to figure out how to live in life. But everybody else around them says, "Oh my God, I wish I could be like that guy. He's awesome." But they don't know the inner truth. Everybody's story is different. And then the adrenaline factor of like, oh, that's a different story. Is that if you're an adrenaline factor, you've got a really high risk level, and you're like, I want to just take all the chances in the world. Yeah. And eventually it's going to get caught up to you, like insurance, car payments, property taxes, and stuff like that. And you look at pro athletes, the most overpaid individuals in this world, I personally believe. I'm sorry, they play a sport. They're really good at that sport. But how do you justify paying someone $200 million for 4 years to throw a football?
Right.
Yeah, they bring in the stands and stuff, and people spend the money. But that's just a lot of, how do you, I don't know, $50,000 a minute? That's pretty impressive. But then you look at that individual, and they're 35 years old, and they're broke, and they're working at Walmart, or they're working at Home Depot. They're trying to find a job because they didn't plan. They didn't prepare. They didn't realize, and they started buying houses. Well, Jeff, guess what? I'm going to buy you $1 million house tomorrow just for the heck of it. But you have to take care of all the stuff inside the house. Okay. Well, how much is you're living on 2 acres on a golf course, Jeff? You have $1 million house, $2 million. Let's see, how much money is it going to cost you a year to have that house?
Well, in a situation like that, you start looking at a lot of the other things that come along with it, the taxes, the maintenance, everything else. And all of a sudden, it doesn't look near as appealing.
No, you're going to spend $5,000 to $6,000 between taxes, insurance, lawn keeping, pool maintenance, all that stuff like that. So now I've given you $1 million house that you can't get rid of, but it's going to cost you $70,000 a year to maintain that house, right. And you're only making $60,000 a year. I don't know what you're making, but I'm
in a deficit. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, great. You have this great house. Everybody's like, hey, I got this, but now you're in the red. You're not playing golf. You're in the red. You got that shortfall.
Right.
And when it comes to retirement planning, and like red flags is like when you go to a restaurant, and if they have this, like I love Chili's. It's one of my favorite go-to places. I mean, they have this 3 for me thing for three,
yeah.
the soda, chips and salsa, and a burger for $11.
Right.
You can't beat it. You give even a $5 tip. She had a great lunch with leftovers for $16. If you go to any other restaurant and get that same exact thing, it's $26 to $30.
Yeah.
It's almost twice as much. You got maybe a different atmosphere, but still, you fed your food, you got your stuff, but saving money is so important. So where's the red flag? The red flags stand within your body, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Most people, I mean, this day and age, there's a lot of Karens out there. Let's just put it that way. Complaining about, what Karens are, right?
Oh, yeah. They're the ones that always ask to speak to the manager.
Yeah. And when I was in the restaurant industry, Jeff, I said, I thought I've seen everything in my life, but I mean, the things people complained about to get something free was insane.
Yeah.
And if someone talked to the manager in a polite way when I was working and they were talking, I'm the GM, I hate to bring this up, but this happens. Like, I'm gonna comp the living daylights out just because they were friendly.
Sure.
Now you jump in my face, start screaming and yelling about this, that, and the other. You ain't getting diddly.
Right.
Or I'm the old family. I'm never coming back here. Well, okay, it's not going to kill my hurts or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But when I was at a restaurant, I can't name the names, obviously, for legality purposes. This is 25 years ago. This woman thought she was going to pull one over on us, and she got her free salad with her meal, and she bit into it, and her mouth started bleeding. She had glass in the salad, and she was trying to sue this multi-million-dollar chain for glass. Well, this woman should be on American's Dumbest Criminals, used glass from her house instead of glass from the restaurant. She didn't pre-plan this. So when the investigators got the glass out of her mouth and stuff, and they compared it to the restaurant's glass, it wasn't the same. They got a subpoena, went to her house, and found out she broke glass from her house and brought it into the restaurant. So now her mouth is all beat up, got countersued, and yada, yada, yada. If you're going to make money, earn it the right way. I'm just telling the story because there's other ways out there to get things what you need. And be polite, be kind, love one another. Because guess what? There's 2 days in the year you can't change. You can't change what happened yesterday, and you can't change what's going to happen tomorrow.
Do you think that even as you look at things like your future, retirement, like you can't change tomorrow, at the same time, you want to make sure that living life correctly, and when I say correctly, you just hit the nail on the head, is be kind, be patient, things like that. They do feed into sort of an idea that you're kind of living your way into a better retirement because of the fact that your way of life allows you and affords you to set yourself up and make that plan into a way that is going to take care of you in the long run.
Oh, God, my forehead must be dripping right now. You've been on spot on these last 20 minutes, but when I say you can't change tomorrow, it's true. You can't change what's going to happen tomorrow until it happens.
Yeah.
But there's a word called prepare. You can prepare for tomorrow.
Yep.
And if you don't prepare for tomorrow, then the change that's going to happen could be more, the odds are it's going to be more negative. If you're not planning, if you're not preparing and planning for your work tomorrow and your lunch or whatever, or picking the kids up at school and stuff, or making sure this, that, and the other, when it happens, you've just ran out of time. And that's one thing you can't take back is time.
Right.
So you can't, like I said, you can't change yesterday. You can learn from yesterday. You can't change from the past, but that's what I love about history. And you can't change tomorrow, but you can prepare for tomorrow. And the people that prepare for tomorrow, guess what? They wake up in the morning with this bigger smile on the people that don't wake up and prepare for it. It's 100% sure on that one.
To me, that's one of the biggest takeaways, especially from this episode, is just that the red flags that I think a lot of people have with their financial plan, with their retirement, with whatever it may be, just finances in general, have so much to do with probably a lot of just your way of life. And I think a lot of people may not understand it from that perspective, but that's one of the things that I think that you really kind of help steer people into, is that your way of life is going to help. It kind of dictates what will happen tomorrow, in a sense that the way that you act and perform today is going to have a big impact on what does happen in the future for you. So setting yourself up and preparing is I think, very important for a lot of people to hear that message, so to speak.
That's what I love about what I've been doing for the last 20 years, and God willing, another 20, 30 years going forward, is educating people. I always tell people I'm an educator first before an advisor.
Right.
Because there's no two people wearing the same set of shoes, no two people that have the same story, no two people in the same situation. They might be close to one another, but there's always differences. And you can't say, well, my buddy Johnny got this.
Right.
Well, guess what? Johnny's also 20 years younger than you. He doesn't have any kids. He's not married. And da-da-da. You are married. You do have 3 kids. I mean, you're 20 years older.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's amazing when you look at things from a perspective outside of someone else, how much it's easier to kind of help, guide the ideology, so to speak.
Well, these influencers on social media are crazy because they think whatever they're doing, they're making a fortune on social media just by going around being an influencer. Who are they influencing? I mean, literally, seriously? I mean, I don't know.
Don't get me started on the influencers because I could go on for 3 days.
Okay, well, let's get to the
insanity of just that entire world of life has created, in my opinion, one of the biggest red flags. And oddly enough, it has to do with what we're talking about, and that's financial planning. It's future. They're not living in.
Can we do another next one of the next podcasts? Can we do this, please? I beg of you. I want to talk 20 minutes about influencers.
Yeah, because listen, I mean, the worst part is that they're influencing a giant group of people out there that feel like they're supposed to live that same life, and it just doesn't work that way.
No. Did you see that one Geico commercial with whatever her name is? They're at this cliff and they're taking these pictures.
Yes.
And they're making phone calls. You should see this view. Okay, next.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nobody else here. Next.
That's exactly what it's like. So, yes, we will definitely dive into the influencers on an upcoming podcast because this is one that, again, I can get into also where I'm just going, you got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. When you combine AI, influencers, and just an entire thought process right now of people feeling like they deserve.
Those are red flags.
Those are the biggest red flags.
They're making you spend money that you don't have.
Absolutely. On things you don't need.
You don't need.
Well, listen, if you want more information, and Dolph, we're going to have so much more on this. This is great stuff. Then reach out to Dolph Janis right now through the website, guardyoursavings.com. And listen to the Guard Your Savings podcast. I think we've set people up right now to make sure that they subscribe because they're going to want to get that notification that the influencers are coming up. That's the thing is we're going to start influencing you based off of what you should be doing instead of those influencers out there because you want to listen to the professionals. You don't want to listen to the people who are out there just trying to influence. But thanks so much for listening. Again, guardyoursavings.com. You can set up an appointment to speak with Dolph about maybe changing some of those red flags into green flags that could work so much better for your future.
Take care, folks, and God bless, and thanks for listening.
By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Randall Janis, North Carolina Insurance License number 8483456. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Dolph Janis is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Dolph Janis is licensed in your state, please call 704-919-0149.